Before we begin, imagine this: an old attic filled with dust and forgotten memories. The kind of place where every creak of the floorboards feels like a whisper from the past. Now, imagine finding something so beautiful, so mesmerizing, that you can't look away, yet something inside you knows you should. Because sometimes, beauty hides the darkest of curses. So, if you're brave enough to listen, lean closer. This is the haunting melody of the forgotten music box. It was a cold October afternoon when Evelyn Hartley, a young historian from London, arrived at an abandoned manor on the outskirts of Ashmore Village. The estate had belonged to the Renfield family, a lineage once known for their wealth and eccentricities, but now remembered only in ghost stories whispered by locals after dark. Evelyn wasn't one to believe in ghost tales. She was there to document relics for her new book, Echoes of the Forgotten: The Hidden Artifacts of Victorian England. The manor stood silent under a veil of mist, its windows dark and lifeless. The iron gates creaked open with a haunting groan as she entered. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of dust and decay. Old portraits lined the corridor, faces staring blankly through cracked varnish, their eyes seeming to follow her every move. Her boots echoed softly on the marble floor as she explored the grand hallway. In one of the upstairs rooms, she stumbled upon a small wooden chest, half buried under faded sheets and cobwebs. The chest was delicate, carved with roses and intricate vines, but what caught her attention was the faint glimmer of gold peeking from its corner. Curious, Evelyn brushed away the dust and lifted the lid. Inside lay an ornate music box. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Made of dark walnut wood, decorated with silver inlays that shimmered faintly even in the dim light. In the center was a hand-painted porcelain ballerina, frozen mid-spin, her face pale and expressionless. Evelyn turned the small key on its side, and the gears inside began to hum softly. Then, a melody began to play. It was beautiful, ethereal, almost otherworldly. Each note carried a strange pull, as if the song reached into her chest and gripped her heart. The air around her seemed to thicken. The room grew colder. She felt something stir, something ancient, watching. And then she heard it. A whisper, faint, almost inaudible. It came from behind her. "Don't play it again." Evelyn froze. The music continued to play, soft, delicate, and haunting. Slowly, she turned around. The room was empty. Only the sound of the melody filled the silence. Her hands trembled slightly as she closed the lid. The music stopped instantly, and the whisper faded. For a moment, she wondered if it had just been her imagination, an echo, perhaps, or the wind sneaking through a crack in the wall. But when she looked back at the ballerina inside the box, its head had turned. It was no longer facing forward. It was staring directly at her. The air inside the room grew heavy, pressing against Evelyn's chest as though the very walls were holding their breath. The ballerina's porcelain eyes glistened in the faint light, unmoving yet alive. Evelyn blinked hard, stepping closer to the table. Her mind scrambled for logic. Maybe the figurine had shifted when she closed the lid. Yes, that had to be it. A trick of movement. A coincidence. Still, unease crawled beneath her skin. She carefully picked up the music box and examined it. On its underside, an engraving caught her eye. To Leora, with love, 1893. Leora, Evelyn whispered softly. "Who were you?" As she spoke the name, a faint vibration ran through the floorboards. It was subtle, almost like a heartbeat beneath her feet. She crouched down, pressing her palm against the old wood, and felt it again. A rhythmic thump, slow and deliberate. Her breath caught in her throat. Then, from the hallway beyond the room, came a faint echo of the same melody. But she hadn't wound the music box again. The haunting tune drifted through the house, soft, distant, yet perfectly clear. Evelyn slowly stepped into the corridor. The shadows stretched long and deep, swallowing the edges of her flashlight. The melody seemed to come from somewhere upstairs now, weaving through the air like a ghost's lullaby. "Hello," she called out, her voice trembling. "Is someone there?" No response. Only the song continued, gentle and sorrowful. She followed it up the narrow staircase, her fingers brushing the peeling wallpaper as she climbed. Halfway up, she noticed something strange. The portraits along the stairwell, those same lifeless faces from before, were different. Their expressions had changed. Where before they had been solemn, now their painted eyes seemed wide with fear. A chill rippled through her. She turned her flashlight away quickly, refusing to look again. At the top of the stairs, a faint light glowed beneath the half-open door. The music was louder now, each note echoing inside her skull. She pushed the door open. Inside, the room looked untouched by time. The furniture was pristine, the bed made neatly with lace sheets yellowed by age. A faint scent of lavender lingered in the air. And there, on a vanity table, sat another music box, identical to the one she had found downstairs. Evelyn approached it slowly, heart pounding. This one was already open, the ballerina mid-spin, twirling gracefully despite the silence. No music came from it now, yet she could still hear the melody all around her. Suddenly, the mirror above the vanity flickered. For a brief second, she saw a reflection that wasn't hers. A woman stood behind her, a pale figure in a torn ivory dress, her hair tangled, her eyes hollow and glistening like glass. Evelyn gasped and spun around. No one was there, but the reflection in the mirror remained. The woman's lips moved soundlessly, and then, faintly, a whisper filled the air. "You heard the song. Now it remembers you." The reflection began to fade, replaced once more by Evelyn's terrified face. And then, without warning, the vanity drawer slid open on its own. Inside, lying on faded letters and ribbons, was a small photograph. It showed a young girl, around 10, holding the same music box Evelyn had found. Beneath the photo, in elegant handwriting, were the words, "Leora Renfield, 1894, the day before she disappeared." Evelyn's hands trembled as she picked it up. The faint notes of the melody still echoed through the room, now slower, deeper, almost like a heartbeat. Then she heard something else, a soft laugh, childlike. It came from the hallway. The sound of small footsteps followed. The laughter echoed faintly, bouncing off the cold walls of the manor. It was the laughter of a child, soft, melodic, and eerily out of place in a house long abandoned. Evelyn froze, her pulse racing as the sound faded into the distance. "Hello?" she whispered again, though part of her wished she hadn't. No answer, only the lingering echo of that ghostly giggle. She clutched the photograph tightly and stepped back into the corridor. Her flashlight flickered weakly, casting trembling shadows on the faded wallpaper. The melody continued somewhere beyond, faint but persistent, as if guiding her deeper into the house. As she followed the sound, she noticed something strange on the wall, an old, dust-covered portrait she hadn't seen before. It showed a young girl standing beside an older woman, perhaps her mother. The girl was unmistakable. It was Leora Renfield. Her delicate face was almost identical to the photograph. Her small hands clutched the same ornate music box, and her eyes, those haunting, glassy eyes, seemed to stare directly at Evelyn. But there was something else. A faint scratch mark near the bottom of the frame caught her attention. She wiped the dust away and saw words etched into the wood, almost desperate, as if carved by shaking hands. "The song must never end, or she wakes." Evelyn's stomach twisted. "She wakes?" she murmured, her voice barely audible. Before she could think, the faint giggle returned, this time closer. Her flashlight dimmed again, sputtering out completely. Darkness swallowed her. She fumbled for her phone and switched on its flashlight, casting a dim glow ahead. The corridor now looked different, longer, narrower. The wallpaper had changed, peeling back to reveal old patterns beneath, like the house itself was shifting around her. And then, from the shadows, the tune began again. The same haunting melody, played faintly, but not from the box. This time, it was being hummed. A soft, childlike voice carried the tune, perfectly in rhythm with the notes she had heard earlier. Evelyn's breath hitched. "Leora," she whispered. The humming stopped instantly. For a long moment, silence consumed everything. Then, just ahead, a faint glow appeared, a soft blue light flickering from one of the rooms. Evelyn approached slowly, her every step echoing. When she pushed open the door, her flashlight revealed a small nursery. Toys were scattered on the floor. A rocking horse swayed gently, though no wind stirred. On a child's bed sat a porcelain doll, cracked and lifeless, yet eerily familiar. And there, on the windowsill, was another music box. But this one was shattered, its lid broken, its ballerina missing. As she stepped closer, she noticed something carved into the wood beneath it. She sang with the music until the music stopped. Suddenly, the mirror across the room shimmered again. A faint shape appeared in its reflection, a small girl standing behind Evelyn. Her reflection turned first. Then, slowly, Evelyn turned too. A young girl in a faded white dress stood by the door, her hair long and tangled, her skin pale as frost. In her hands, she held a cracked ballerina figurine, the missing dancer from the broken box. Her lips moved slightly. "Will you play with me?" she whispered. The melody began again, filling the room though Evelyn hadn't wound anything. The girl's eyes shimmered faintly, reflecting the same blue glow that filled the nursery. Evelyn stumbled back. "You're Leora, aren't you?" The girl smiled faintly, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I was," she said softly, until the song stopped. Before Evelyn could react, the girl's expression darkened. Her head tilted slowly, unnaturally, and her voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "Now it's your turn to keep it playing." The door behind Evelyn slammed shut. The lights flickered violently as the music grew louder, deeper, distorted, as if the melody itself was turning cruel. Evelyn tried to cover her ears, but the sound wasn't coming from outside anymore. It was inside her head. She screamed, and everything went black. Evelyn awoke with a gasp, the sound of her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. The room around her was dim, lit only by the faint orange flicker of the dying sunset bleeding through the cracked window panes. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then it hit her, the music box, the mirror, the child. Leora. She sat up abruptly, her head spinning. The nursery was empty now. The broken toys, the doll, even the cracked ballerina figurine, all gone. Only the faint scent of lavender and something burnt lingered in the air. Her phone lay beside her, the flashlight still on, but nearly dead. She checked the time. It was 2:17 a.m., but that wasn't possible. She had come to the manor at noon. Had she been unconscious for nearly 14 hours? Her chest tightened as she looked toward the doorway. The words carved into the frame, the same ones she had seen earlier, were still there. Only now, they seemed fresher, like they'd been carved moments ago. The song must never end, or she wakes. Evelyn rubbed her temples, trying to steady her thoughts. "Okay," she muttered to herself. "It's a story, a legend. There has to be a rational explanation." But deep down, something in her bones whispered that this was no legend. Determined to find answers, she stumbled downstairs, clutching the original music box in her hands. The air in the manor felt heavier now, colder. Every shadow seemed to twitch at the corner of her vision. She entered what had once been a study, dusty bookshelves lined with decaying journals and faded photographs. In the corner, a fireplace stood unused, filled with ash. Evelyn began searching through the shelves, her fingers tracing the worn leather spines of ancient volumes. Finally, she found something. A small, leather-bound diary. The front read, Adele Renfield, 1894. Her pulse quickened. Adele, the mother from the portrait. She opened it carefully, the pages brittle with age. The first few entries spoke of daily life, Leora's laughter, her love for music, and her talent for dancing. But the later pages grew darker. March 3rd, 1894. Leora hums the tune even in her sleep. The box plays without winding. I hear it at night. She says the lady in the mirror teaches her the song. Evelyn's hands trembled as she turned the page. March 9th, 1894. The melody stopped today. Leora screamed until her voice broke. She begged me to make it play again, said the lady would be angry. When I refused, she vanished. Her breath caught. March 10th, 1894. The mirror cracked at midnight. I hear the song again, but it's not Leora playing it anymore. Evelyn's eyes widened. The last page was stained with something dark, perhaps ink, perhaps something else. But at the bottom, a single line stood out, carved deep into the paper. Whoever hears the melody must carry it forward. Suddenly, the faint tinkling of the music box began again, on its own. Evelyn froze. She hadn't touched it. The gears turned smoothly, the ballerina spinning slowly. The same haunting melody filled the room once more, sweet yet suffocating. Then, from behind her, a voice spoke softly, calm, gentle, but unmistakably wrong. She wants to dance again. Evelyn turned slowly. A woman stood in the corner of the room, tall, elegant, wearing a tattered Victorian gown. Her skin was pale, her hair silver, her eyes hollow but gleaming with sorrow. It was Adele Renfield. You're her mother, Evelyn stammered. Adele nodded slowly, her voice trembling like the music itself. You heard the song. Now, it's yours to keep. Evelyn shook her head in panic. No, I'm just here to study, to document. You awakened her, Adele interrupted, her tone sorrowful. Leora's spirit lingers in every note. The melody binds her. It binds all of us. The room darkened as the melody grew louder. Shadows twisted, taking shape. Figures of dancers, spinning endlessly around her, faceless and hollow. Evelyn backed away, clutching the diary to her chest. There has to be a way to stop it, she cried. Adele's eyes glistened. To stop it, the song must end. But if it ends... She paused, her gaze shifting toward the mirror. She wakes fully. Suddenly, the mirror behind Adele shattered violently. A freezing wind swept through the room, extinguishing the last bit of light. Evelyn screamed as something emerged from the darkness, small footsteps, echoing closer. The melody twisted, slowing, warping into something darker. And then, from the broken glass, Leora stepped out. Her porcelain skin gleamed faintly in the moonlight, her eyes black and endless. The music box in Evelyn's hands began to tremble violently, as if something inside was trying to break free. Leora's lips curled into a faint, broken smile. Play it again, she whispered. Please, don't let it stop. The shattered glass crunched beneath Evelyn's feet as she stumbled backward. The melody pulsed through the air like a heartbeat, growing louder, deeper, each note wrapping tighter around her mind. Leora stood before her, pale and still, holding the broken ballerina in her tiny hands. Her dress shimmered faintly under the trembling light of the moon, torn and soaked as though she had risen from a lake. Please, Evelyn whispered, clutching the music box. What do you want from me? Leora tilted her head slowly, her black eyes reflecting the faint glow of the spinning ballerina. I just want to dance, she murmured. But the music stopped. It always stops. Her voice cracked, trembling between sorrow and rage. Evelyn's hands shook violently. The box's gears whirred on their own now, the melody spinning faster, discordant. It was no longer a lullaby. It was a cry for help, a desperate wail that filled every corner of the manor. From behind her, Adele's ghostly figure appeared once more, her face filled with agony. Evelyn, listen to me, she pleaded. The curse feeds on the song. Every time it plays, it takes another soul. End it before she binds you too. Evelyn's eyes darted between the mother and the child. How? Tell me how to stop it. Adele's voice broke. "You must destroy the box, but only when the melody ends. If you break it before, she'll be free." The floor trembled violently. Cracks split across the walls, dust raining down from the ceiling. The haunting tune slowed, dragging, as though it resisted its own ending. Leora screamed. The sound was deafening, a shriek that shattered every mirror in the room. Her once innocent face twisted into something monstrous, her eyes now black voids dripping with tears of ink. "You can't stop the music," she cried. "It's mine. It's ours." Evelyn fell to her knees, covering her ears as the melody became unbearable. The box rattled in her hands, glowing faintly from within as if something inside was alive, trapped, begging to be released. She took a deep breath, her vision blurring. "No more," she whispered. "No more songs." The final note rang out, long, trembling, echoing through the air like a dying breath. And then, silence. Without a second thought, Evelyn slammed the music box against the stone floor. It shattered instantly. The sound was deafening, like glass, metal, and screams colliding into one. A blinding white light burst from the fragments, engulfing the entire room. Evelyn shielded her eyes, crying out as the wind howled around her. Then, nothing, just silence. When she opened her eyes again, the manor was still. The air was warm. The oppressive cold had vanished. The portraits were gone. The mirrors restored. The melody gone. Only the faint smell of lavender remained. Evelyn rose shakily to her feet. The fragments of the music box lay scattered across the floor, dull and lifeless now. No glow, no hum, no sound. She turned toward the corner where Leora had stood. The little girl was gone. Only a single ribbon remained, a white ribbon with faint traces of gold thread. Evelyn picked it up carefully, holding it close. For the first time since entering Ashmore Manor, there was peace. She exhaled, whispering softly, "Rest now, Leora." A faint breeze brushed her cheek, soft, almost like a child's hand. And in that moment, she knew the spirit had finally let go. And that was the haunting melody of the forgotten music box. A tale that reminds us, some melodies are not meant to be heard. Some songs are never meant to be played again. If you ever find an antique music box that plays a tune too beautiful to forget, maybe, just maybe, you should leave it closed. Thank you for watching till the end. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel ***, and share it with someone who loves dark, mysterious tales. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you found that music box? Maybe your answer will be the start of our next story.